The Green Bay Packers got Micah Parsons. It's real. It really happened. My apology to Greg Braggs is coming up next, and all of our reaction to this big news that just shook up the NFC North. God help the Bears left tackle situation. An emergency podcast of CHGO Bears starts right now. Welcome into an emergency edition of the CHGO Bears Podcast. The news that I don't think anybody watching this right now probably wanted to see. But those rumors, I guess, were true. And honestly, this is a trade that I feel like is way against the playbook of both the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers, which is part of what makes it so shocking. But the Green Bay Packers have traded and paid Micah Parsons big bucks. We will get into all of it, what it means for the division, what it means for the Bears. My name's Adam Hoge. Mark Carman has pulled over in his car to do this, and Greg Braggs joins us as well. I think this is our first ever emergency podcast for a move made by a different team.
That's actually my number one reaction out here, and not to be a prisoner of the moment, but if this had been the Bears, this could have been the biggest show that we've ever done in the history of CHGO if the Bears had traded for Micah Parsons. Instead, we're doing a show because the Packers traded for him, which is kind of irritating. But, hopefully these deals, sometimes they look like the biggest home run in the history of football, and this one does look like that right now for Green Bay. But it doesn't always work out that way, not to try to throw a sort of an olive branch of hope here, but it's a big time acquisition for Green Bay. There's no way around it. This is the preeminent pass rusher in the middle of his prime.
Yeah, I mean, just like the Bears when they traded for Khalil Mack, the Packers just pushed all their chips in the table on Jordan Love because you have a lot of money being allocated to two players on that team now. And Micah Parsons, he's worth every penny in a lot of ways, but every penny is what? $47 million a year? That's a lot of money for one player.
Yeah, and they're paying Jordan Love. I mean, this is all too fresh for me to add all that up, but isn't that like $100 million of your cap just on two players, one on each side? Now, you could say it's the most important players, your quarterback and your edge rusher. But I'm going to say this. I think this is going to be a lot like the Khalil Mack trade. I think this is going to be something that pays early dividends for the Green Bay Packers that they feel pretty good about. And then maybe by year 2 or year 3, they go, wait a minute. We just lost 2 years of first round picks. We got so much money tied up on these two players. Do we even know that Jordan Love is 100% the guy? I mean, he's pretty good, but that's still a lingering, like if we had done a Green Bay Packers show 3 hours ago, that's what we would have been talking about. Like Jordan Love still needs to show he's good, but how good is kind of the narrative right now in Wisconsin. They got 2 first round picks. And oh, by the way, Kenny Clark going back to Dallas, still a good player.
Yeah, all true, but let's live in Packer reality here just a little bit. Jordan Love, sure, he'll give it away, a little bit more than you would like, but this is still an ascending quarterback on a team that's been a perennial playoff contender, won 11 games last year, has Matt LaFleur. Look at the division right now. Everybody sees the Detroit team taking a step back. Same thing with Minnesota. I'm sure the Packers are not exactly terrified of the Bears quite yet, thinking they're not there yet. This is an opportunity for us to jump to the top with a premier player and go for it right now. I get it I get their logic.
Yeah, it's just makes this NFC North that much more interesting. This is going to be it was a tough division last year, and it's going to be a tough division once again this year. And so it'll be very interesting to see, how the Green Bay Packers come out the gates. Because when you looked at the way the Bears, when they reacted to Khalil Mack coming to Chicago, that was a quick turnaround. Like that was, setting fire to that team. And so I'm sure Green Bay's feeling really good right now. I go back to just looking at it from a Bears lens. Would you have wanted the Bears to make this move? Because what is the equivalent here? You giving up 2 first-round picks and Gervon Dexter? Would that have been the equivalent here? And I just don't know if I just don't think I would want to have gone back down that road the same way that we did with Khalil Mack. $47 million a year. That's a high tally. You eventually want to pay your quarterback. The Bears aren't there right now. But I think we've kind of learned from the last time around. Once you don't have those first round picks, it can be hard to kind of rebolster your roster. So you're really betting on who you have right now. And Hoge, we were talking about it earlier when we had Pete Bursich on. You can make the argument that the Packers roster, which certainly got a huge upgrade today, still has a lot of work to be done on it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about the Packers. And this is what this trade changes. Okay, so if we look at it in terms of my roster tiers, my roster pyramid, the Packers are loaded with red and purple players, which means good starters that you win because of, good starters that you win with. But they don't have any superstars. Now they have a superstar. Now they have a legitimate superstar. And that does kind of change the dynamic here, and it's at a most important position on defense. Now we got to find out though, and I'm sure there's a physical and all this stuff. But what's the deal with this back? I mean, was that really just a negotiating ploy?
Well, look, he's been doing the hold-in, been standing on the sidelines. And then the Cowboys went out and said, oh, he's completely healthy. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to go get a second opinion because you're not going to put that on me. So this, to how you sort of started here, to Hoge, too. Like, this is not something that Green Bay does. This is not something that Dallas does. Dallas, Jerry, you do this all the time. And then you sign Dak Prescott.
That's what I mean. The fact that they actually traded him to me is stunning.
It is. You're trading Micah Parsons? Are you kidding? There are 2 players in the history of the NFL who have come in the league and have gotten 12 or more sacks in their first 4 seasons, him and Reggie White. It is a bold-ass move to trade this player at that premium position in their prime. I am very surprised they did it. Very surprised. And also, to the other point, for the Bears, I mean, we talked about this. I said you make this move if you're 1 player away, if you're a Micah Parsons away. And I just don't think you can look at the Bears roster and say that. So, Bragg, to your question, would you wanted the Bears to do this? I would have been super excited about it. We would have done amazing numbers. I would have loved to have watched them, and I would have highly questioned them making that big of an investment at this point.
I think you're muted, Greg.
Sorry about that. I think if you had asked 2 months ago who was more likely to be traded, Trey Hendrickson or Micah Parsons.
That's true.
Like the opposite happened. It seemed clear as day that Trey Hendrickson was on his way out. Now Trey, he signs a 1 year, contract extension, however, a little bonus bump for his season. And Micah now ends up in Green Bay. It's shocking. It is shocking.
Anyone feel bad for Matt Eberflus right now?
I did think about the Flus. I was like, all right, sweet. We don't have to go against Micah when we play the Cowboys. Oh, yeah. He's in the division. We're going to see him twice for the next decade. That sucks. I believe the acronym the kids use nowadays is FOMO. I am having some FOMO here. I'm in full FOMO. And I'm a huge hypocrite about it because I would have said not to do it. But I mean, man, what an exciting day for Green Bay. You got to acknowledge it. It is for them.
How rough for Dallas too. You lose Luka and Micah in the same year.
Take that, Sean Sharif, my morning show friend down there at the ticket. Maybe we'll have him on the show tomorrow. Unbelievable.
Well, speaking for a company that has an outlet in Dallas, I am not a fan of that. Yeah, it's not great. All right, I'm going to thank a couple sponsors here as we do this emergency pod, and then we got a little bit more to go here. This is not going to be a full hour-long show, but we wanted to jump on here and at least give our instant reaction to a massive trade that's shaking up the NFC North. But first, want to thank Toyota. Toyota's national sales event. Toyota's got a long lineup of vehicles for summer fun. 4Runners, an off-road icon. The Tundra hauls it all with its twin-turbo engine. The Tacoma takes adventure straight to the top. Want to ride with the sizzling hot style and efficiency of a Toyota? The all-hybrid Camry is revving and ready to ride. Visit your local Chicagoland Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Welcome to the show, Toyota. We are happy that you're here with us at CHGO and RC Cola, another one of our newer sponsors. Look, I guess this is on me. In this ad a couple days ago, I called the Packers soft, and now they have Micah Parsons. So let's be real. There's still, though, the world's gone soft. Everybody's just getting a trophy. Everybody's going to be handing the Packers a trophy now, right now, just because of this trade. Well, everything needs to be bubble wrapped. So soda used to have some kick. Now it's all about pretty colors and easy fizz. Well, RC Cola is not a soft drink. It's just damn good cola. It's the original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RC is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow up. RC Cola. All right. Steven sharing this note. Spotrac has Packers cap space for 2025 at 3.74 remaining. Well, and the fact that they're signing a new deal here is I mean, it's they can finagle this year as much as they want. It's more so the future. Let me put this. Let me do my take from the Bears' perspective, because I'm seeing all the comments and I get it. And on Twitter, Ryan Poles asleep at the wheel. Why didn't he make this trade? Well, first of all, so that means they would have had to give up more than 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, whatever that equivalent is. I would have felt really uneasy about doing that, especially with our history of seeing this trade work in the short term with Khalil Mack and then cost the team later on. But I've always said that I would do the Khalil Mack trade again if they had the quarterback right. And I still think that's the right take. It was the take in the moment, too, when they made it. They were doubling down that Mitch Trubisky was the guy. And that's the same thing the Packers are doing here. And I think we can all agree Jordan Love has already surpassed Mitch Trubisky. There's no question about that. He's a good quarterback. He is a starting caliber quarterback, more than a starting caliber quarterback. It's just how great will he be? And while it's still going to come down to a similar thing, though. You are now banking that you can win a Super Bowl with Jordan Love and Micah Parsons over the next few years without having a first-round pick the next 2 seasons and taking a hit losing Kenny Clark off your defense. I'll say this. I think that this move changes my perspective of the NFC North this year. I said it on the show earlier today that I was going to put the Packers last in the NFC North. I thought that they had the worst roster among 4 pretty good rosters. They had the worst. This does change that. But I tend to think, my gut is telling me that similar to the Bears, they're going to be looking back on this 2 or 3 years from now, maybe 4 years, depending on what the ripple effects are of not having those first round picks. And it's not going to be a slam dunk consensus that it was 100% the right trade to make.
The saddest part for me, and I think it very well could exactly turn out that way for Green Bay. And look, if Ryan Poles had been Nails, aka from where the Bears started, a miracle worker, if at any point along the way they had already hit on the quarterback, be it from CJ to Jadon to supporting Caleb better, to moving on from Matt Eberflus rather than sticking with it. If you had gotten that in position, if you had not taken Darnell Wright and drafted Jalen Carter, he had an absolute wrecker in the middle of the defensive line, you would be in a much better position when a transformational player in his prime becomes available. You'd be in a much better position to make a move for Micah. The fact of the matter is the Bears we're not there because the roster, as improved as it is, so much better that the offensive line is, and Ben Johnson talking about the strength of this team is up front on both sides, you still don't know that you're close enough to make that bold of a move. Which if I'm Poles tonight sitting there, that would be what bugs me the most.
Yeah, I mean, I also just think too is, sometimes you make moves like this to cover up for picks you didn't go your way, or at least the way you hoped. And when you look at Lucas Van Ness, who they drafted in the first round, 3 years ago, and he just hasn't panned out the way you had hoped. And so that's also what happens to teams that are trying to win now, is when you miss on a draft pick, now you've got to try to cover that up by making a move on top of that to try to cover up for it, and so we were talking about this earlier with the Eagles. They once missed on Justin Jefferson and drafted Jalen Reagor. Well, then they had to trade for A.J. Brown. It worked out for them in that regard, but you have to be aggressive, when you have an opportunity to win. Now, can the Packers get to the mountaintop? It's not going to be easy, but when you have Micah Parsons, your margin of error for whatever you think Jordan Love is now shrinks a little bit. Now you have a little more margin of error with your quarterback, with your offense, because now you have a defensive end that can make some plays. So in the immediate, it's certainly going to help them, but we'll see what it does long term.
If you're clicking through to the news and you're just happen to be joining us for the first time here on CHGO, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. We do shows 5 days a week on the Bears, and sometimes more. Like when news like this breaks, we are always first to pull over on the side of the road, like Mark Carman, and give you our analysis and what you need to know. I was listening to the Athletic football show, Robert Mays, their preview on the Packers, actually driving into the studio this morning. And they were talking about how the top 50 picks the Packers have been making lately, just really, they haven't hit that much. And then I think Robert brought up a stat that stunned me, that from 2021 on, none of their draft picks have a single Pro Bowl. And that kind of stunned me. And then I took a step back and I go,
oh, there's the Bears.
Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's the same for the Bears. But maybe it's a little bit more surprising that it applies to the Packers. But I'm going back to your point that you have to, mistakes lead to desperate moves like this. Now, this is also a rare desperate move where it's like, okay, yeah, but it's like the best player in the league that plays defense. The best defender in the league. So, okay, same way when the Bears did it with Khalil Mack. Short-term gains a lot of times compound and end up to, looking like bigger mistakes down the road. So there are two sides of this. All that being said, that might be a little bit of coping, and I am 100% worried about Micah Parsons going up the Bears left tackle situation right now, because it is of most concern for the Bears right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should be concerned. Look at some of the pass rushers in the NFC North. You got Jonathan Grenard week 1. You got Aiden Hutchinson week 2. And now you have Micah Parsons, twice a year. That is a problem, especially when you're looking at –
They got to face Hendrickson this year too.
Right, exactly. They got to face – I mean, yeah, you're always going to have tough pass rushers, but specifically in the NFC North, they aren't getting any easier. And you look at our situation with Braxton Jones and how the Bears are going to handle this left tackle situation. It's definitely a concern. And so, but also it puts the pressure now on Jordan Love to become the player that they need him to be, right? If you're going to go out and make a move like this, you're talking about a team in the Green Bay Packers that were a blocked field goal away from being 0-6 in the division last year. And so now you get Micah Parsons in here. You got to have a much better showing in the division than you did last year. And obviously they're hoping that's the case, but it's yet to be determined.
You can't do it like this, but I'm just in my mind just thinking about how dollars are allocated on the roster. The Bears have roughly, 55 million tied up in Montez Sweat and DJ Moore. They've got 47 million in Micah Parsons. I think I'd rather have Micah Parsons if we're just going to look at it that way, just how you're spending your money. Now that's obviously completely different, and we gave up a 2nd-round pick for Montez and DJ. In that trade, the Bears ended up with Caleb. So I'm not, understand I get all the variables here, but I'm just talking about the pure money allocation there. And they're paying a ton of money to Jordan Love, but it's not top of the market money. I'm not sure exactly where he slots right now, but it's closer to 10 than number 1. So,
yeah.
All
right. Well, you guys sound like you're doing great with this news. Let's go through real quick before we get out of here, because we said we're already gone 20 minutes. We weren't going to go too much, but there was some Bears. I'm just trying to pull up the Bears made roster moves since we ended our show earlier, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Everybody can relax. Scott Daly, the long snapper's back. Devin Duvernay is back. Both were signed back to the active roster after 24 hours after it, as we suspected. The biggest piece of news here is that Austin Booker went on IR. So he is, because it was after final cuts, he is eligible to return this season, but because he's got to miss 4 weeks, and then the Bears have a bye week in week 5. So he's out until at least week 6. The Bears lose one of their pass rushers, while the Packers get the best one in the league. Austin Booker was coming on. He was having a great preseason, and this little knee injury sucks. Carl Jones, who had originally made the team, he is now waived. I'm assuming if he clears waivers, he will be signed to the practice squad. By the way, Luke Elkin brought back to the practice squad for a day to snap at practice yesterday. He was released from the practice squad, as was defensive back Mekhi Gardner. The Bears also added 3 other guys to the practice squad. So that's where things stand. Your roster update for today.
I need the please explain everything they did like I'm 6 years old. Why was Carl Jones here and now he's gone? And why do we have to do this with Devin Duvernay? I gotta be honest, I don't fully understand it, but great. I guess it all worked out spinningly. That sucked with Austin Booker. He had a great training camp. He looked fantastic in the preseason. I understand that he was just going to be probably a situational pass rusher this year, but as thin as the Bears are at edge, and I don't know if he would have taken off or not. It feels like a decent loss. Not crippling, but they needed Austin Booker to have an impact this year, and now they'll have to wait a while to see it if he's ever going to do it.
All right. Any final thoughts, Greg?
Yeah, my final thoughts are: have fun in Green Bay, Micah Parsons. You're gonna be miserable because it sucks there. And I know your dreams were to play for the Dallas Cowboys and be under that superstardom and all that fan base and warm weather. And now you're going to cold, miserable Green Bay, Wisconsin, where you can go down to the local deli to get your lunch because you're not getting food from anywhere nice and you're not getting to have any fun. And you're just going to have to be locked away in your little snow cabin and be miserable with all those yokels from Wisconsin.
All right. They don't have delis up there either. They have Panera. They've got they have a what's that sub place? They got a Quiznos. They don't got no delis. Come on.
It's a cracker bro.
I'm sure that right. Yeah. Go have a nice. I'm sure there's a $9.95 fried chicken Tuesday night Cracker Barrel situation, which by the way is delicious. But yeah, good point, Gregory.
Brendan that's what rile Micah Parsons up even more. That'll help. Brendan Henderson, $5. It's hilarious because it's not like the Packers have been getting any hits with their first rounders, anyways.
Well, that used to be the Bears, that's what Bears fans would say when they traded for Khalil Mack, and it didn't necessarily work out that way.
Like the picks aren't working anyway, even though they had just drafted Roquan Smith, who was pretty good. Ryan Daly, $10. I think I speak for everyone when I say the important thing is both the Bears and Packers players have fun.
Thank you. We needed that, Ryan. Yeah. By the way, I believe on tomorrow's CHGO Bears episode, we'll be talking with who are we talking with, Greg?
Well, Wait, well, we're gonna be talking with a couple different people. Jake Ripma, who covers the Lions, but also lives in Dallas, so he'll give the Dallas perspective, a little bit of news from down there, and then everyone's favorite Peter Bukowski will be joining for the second half of the show, and that was booked before this trade was made. So he sent me a DM as soon as the trade was made and put, "Hi, Greg." So tomorrow should be fun. We're going to need all hands on deck to harass Peter tomorrow.
Oh, sounds like I'm happy I'm off tomorrow. Okay. This is crazy. Big news. This NFC North is going to be wild this year. So, and one more from Brendan here, $5. Michael will have so much extra time to podcast in Green Bay.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to Toyota. Thank you to RC Cola. This has been an emergency edition of the CHGO Bears podcast. Carm and Greg will be back with you tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to react to with this huge, massive trade that went down in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers today. Still stunned, honestly. Crazy. Not a Packers move, not really a Cowboys move. You thought they'd just re-sign him, but now he's in Green Bay. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow on the CHGO Bears podcast.
Thanks a lot, Jerry.
Lose.